There we go. Okay, here we go. All right. Monday and dry. Monday and dry. Yes. Here we go, folks. Real news is coming up. And it's real news indeed. Yes, it is. Yep. There's no question about it. It's real news. Okay. Yes, I will be doing road patrol later, of course. Are you kidding me? Folks, it's a new week. Yes, here we go. Now we just wait for JR to give us the go ahead, so to speak, and we are good to go. And there it is at 1:06 on this Monday. Folks, good afternoon. Yes, this is this true that it's the real news at 1 or 1? Yes, it is. It is the real news at 1. Folks, yes, it is. Good afternoon. Now, right now, as we speak in real time at 1:06, it is true. We're live on AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Now, you can listen at the website, dpetro.com. That is true, as a matter of fact. You can listen on the website. Now, but wait, there's more. On top of that, you can also watch the program on our Facebook page, and you can also watch on both YouTube and X. This portion of our program, folks, and it's brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. You know, they have had a tremendous season, and I'm so happy for them. And as many of you know, I'm the biggest fan. Fall is definitely in the air. My goodness. Hard to believe 1 week ago we were still celebrating summer. Homegrown mums and kale are outstanding. Mums and kale sizes ranging 4-inch, 12-inch pots. You know, I just saw someone post, I think on Facebook, I was scrolling and saw someone say, does anyone know where I could get some mums? I know the answer. PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. 3688, excuse me, Quaker Lane. God bless me. It must have been some of that cheap blow doing the other night. Folks, remember, pumpkin, straw, just kidding. Corn stalks, gourds, Indian corn, native vegetables, local honey, maple syrup are available. Remember, this is the ideal time for planting, especially we did get a little bit of rain, but they are open 7 days a week and they jam it. Folks, it's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Great family-run business. Steve and Debbie and Junior and Byron. And don't forget, especially, they have the native vegetables that are there. But more and more people are decorating their homes and businesses with things like pumpkins and straw bales and corn stalks and gourds and Indian corn. And October is really becoming the month and the time, actually late September into October, to kind of enjoy it and embrace the autumn, embrace fall. PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Now, So many people are buzzing about DePietro.com. I understand why. Of course, I know why. And if you log on, you'll see all of our different stories and videos. It's a happening at DePietro.com. Brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge. They're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. So, what is making news on this Monday? I want to start off and commend this, Danielle, and commend the you got to understand, Providence Police, Mayor Smiley, this didn't happen overnight. It's not a new occurrence that Kennedy Plaza has become and has been for many years an open air drug market. Now, by the way, in fairness to Kennedy Plaza, bus stations everywhere tend to be a hub of activity for those seeking illicit activity. There's in the book, Chris Herron wrote a book, at least one. I don't know how many he's written now, but his initial book, he had a serious substance abuse problem. He goes around now and speaking to different schools about it. And at one point, he had a chance from Fall River. He played for the Boston Celtics. And he talked about his drug problem and the problems that it caused him. I don't remember exactly when it started, but he also played Fresno State, and it was a big deal. But one part of the book of Chris Herron, he talks about that he was overseas. I forget exactly what country. He was playing ball in a European league, and even if he couldn't speak the language, which many times he couldn't, he would just find the nearest train station or bus station and knew kind of if you walked around, there's definitely going to be someone selling. So the fact that Kennedy Plaza has arrests, what is significant here, there's several parts about this that the media is not going to fully cover. Now, on Facebook, I did post what the Providence Police released. Actually, last night, when we were doing road patrol, I mentioned that they were going to have this press briefing. But it was early this morning, and I knew I was going to have a busy Monday. And so I couldn't make, all due respect to the chief of police and the mayor, I couldn't be there. But you see all the names, Kennedy Plaza cleanup. But I want you to understand some of the names, and they're all there. Let's see. Armar, Gaffar, unlawful delivery of blow, Wayne Perry. I'm embarrassed to admit I actually recognize some of these people. Josh Yvonne, unlawful delivery of blow, Louis Carbonell, Jimmy Douglas, Valentino Bassett, Christina Pierce, unlawful delivery of coke, Douglas Knowles, Radham Dominguez, and the name that everyone's talking about, General Washington. So last name Washington. So he was born in 1990, unlawful delivery of blow. He was peddling nose candy. So sometime, let's see, so 10, 20, so about 34 years ago, someone was born last name Washington, and the mother named, or whoever, named him General. General Washington. By the way, not to be confused. Someone said, did he play against the Harlem Globetrotters? No, that's the Washington Generals. It's not General Washington. And then you got Gordon Butler, Jose Diaz, Shantae, female, Pates, Roger Budo, Raphael. They're all listed. I have them on the page. Michael Kelly, Wilbur Davis, David Vacola decided not to wear a shirt that day. But here's the part, folks. Again, you can, I have it on the Facebook page, and several things about this. Now, number one, the Providence Police in City Hall have made a concerted effort to try to crack down on some of this. Many times, forget about it. That's where I first encountered meth mouth that I used to interview all the time. I'm trying to think of the time period. It was quite some time ago now. I used to do a kind of like a man on the street type of thing. And I thought I'll go down to Kennedy Plaza. And it would be usually on a Friday morning, Thursday morning, late morning, 11 o'clock. And it actually reached a point I didn't feel safe going down there. And it truly was, it's sad. Zombies and The Walking Dead. But here's the part that I don't see anyone threading the needle on. Now, Providence Police, they have arrested all these different people. Kennedy Plaza cleanup, narcotics bureau. But what I don't see, and I've seen Channel 10. They had someone there. Providence Police arrest 22, Boston, the Kennedy Plaza area, and then I'm pretty sure 12 has the same thing. But Providence Police announced 22 arrests in drug ring. But what no one is talking about is, and this is something that we talk about with road patrol folks, and I try to tell you about, is we're very close to this being moot, because what no one is focusing on is Governor McKee is about to, in essence, legalize illicit drugs with his, quote, safe injection center that he's going to open. And it's right behind Women and Infants Hospital. And Governor McKee is so proud to say that every junkie within 500 miles could go there, and they'll test your meth, and they'll test your blow, and they'll test your, heavier things, crack, heroin, any opioid. They'll test it. Oh, let's make sure that there's no fentanyl in here. Oh, you're good to go. Now, it's my understanding that if you're caught and you have on your person meth, or which is brutal in the system, by the way, or blow, or any form of crack or heroin, that all the person has to say is, oh, I was on my way to get it tested. Now, Governor McKee has already said they're not going to arrest anyone making their way to, quote, the safe injection center. And so therefore, as much as people look at this, and, a lot of them, it's kind of a dim, how can I describe this? It's kind of a dim view of reality, is saying it kindly and mildly. And many times, many of the people they arrest. But the larger point that no one is talking about is, very soon they're not going to be in Kennedy Plaza. They're going to be over and around where the safe injection center is going to be. Because as I've said, if you want to go fishing, you go to a good fishing spot. You want booze, you go to a liquor store. If you want to sell tickets to a concert, a pretty good place to stand is outside of the venue, right? Waving your tickets. Or if you want to buy tickets to a game, a concert, whatever, that's where you go. You could walk around the mall and say, hey, anybody want tickets to see, whoever? But a better idea is, as scalpers, you stand right at the venue. Who needs tickets? And walk around, because there are people that want to go to the game, and they want to go so much they travel to outside the venue. So my point is, Governor McKee is inviting all of that crime in, and I don't hear any elected official saying anything about it, how they're putting everybody in danger. The communities that have done this then got rid of it. They've tried it in different countries. They've tried it in different parts of the country. The overdoses, when you do that, they spike. They absolutely spike through the roof, like triple, if not more. And Governor McGreed is doing this, and nobody is talking about it. Now, there's another story in the news that no one's talking about, but obviously we will. And there's actually two connected stories. But folks, I want to tell you about, so Saturday, I had the opportunity to tour Kids Club on the Pike. And it's fantastic. And this is where, if you have a child or a grandchild, and they have a birthday party coming up, or maybe they also have before and after school programs, summer camp, but preschool programs, Kids Club on the Pike. And it's right on the Cranston-Johnson line. I share their Facebook page, and you can contact them that way. Or obviously, if you go to their website, Kids Club on the Pike, it is filled with laughter, friends, adventure. But here's what I noticed. This is perfect for if you I've coached youth soccer, and what happens at the very end of the season, we're going to have, little team get together. Normally it's like a pizza party, or maybe it's a fall ball or some fall activity. Or if you know of someone, listen, children like to run around. So why not have them in a place where they can run around? So if you have very young children, or maybe you have kids that are 8 or 9, even up to 13, or you're looking for after school programs, Kids Club on the Pike. It's perfect, and it's so impressive. From the diner to, they have Xboxes, they have a little movie theater. It's the ideal spot if you're going to throw a birthday party, because even if you're going to do a party, we're going to have a pizza party, the kids end up still they want to run around and play games, and this is designed for it. Kids Club on the Pike. Contact them again, either on their website, their Facebook page that I share. The website is kidsclubonthepikeri.com. But it is immaculate. It's very impressive, and it's centrally located right off of 295, right on the Johnston Cranston line. Perfect birthday party venue, team banquet. All the soccer kids are going to have a little party afterwards. Kids Club on the Pike. And conversely, recently, a soccer coach said they wanted to have like a team get together, and they were young kids, like 7 or 8 years old, what have you. So one of the parents said, let's all go to Dave and Buster's at the mall. Holy cow, they had to make their way through the food court, and the night they went was gang night, which is usually on Friday nights, and you have 7 and 8-year-old kids. And I mean, look at like the gang element there. And I'm thinking, whose idea was it to? You can't go to David, but like I wouldn't feel comfortable going to Dave and Buster's on a Friday night, let alone you're going to bring 8, 9-year-old kids. You're not going to have that problem. Kids Club on the Pike. You're going to hear a lot about it, and I'll share more info on it. All right, folks, good afternoon. Yes, this is the Real News at 1. Now, our next story. Wait a minute. One moment. I want to mention, let's see. Denise reached out to me. Denise wants to improve her workplace and asked me, who is it that I recommend maybe could do a remodel, some remodeling or painting? Denise, I would like you to contact AJ Home Improvement, 401 323 9252. 401 323 9252. AJ Home Improvement. Frame to finish basements, acoustical ceilings, new homes, additions, commercial rehabs, painting, remodeling. They have it all, and they can handle it. Call them, and I share their Facebook page, 401 323 9252, AJ Home Improvement. So there's 2 stories in the news, and I have, I think, a little bit of a unique twist on it. One is Providence teacher accused of sexual assault held without bail. What a goon. Boy, hard to believe, as Justin Katz said, that a guy with all these ear piercings and purple hair, who's 50 years old, is accused of this. He looks like he'd be appearing in a video of Libs of TikTok. Providence teacher accused of rape went for a judge on Monday. The alleged victim is a former student, Joe Gannon. He's got the lip piercings. He's got his ears popping out. First degree sexual assault. That is penetration. Producing or transferring child pornography. Wow, what a guy. Not only was he doing this to the children, he was filming himself doing it to the children. No plea was entered. Hell without bail. 8th grade science teacher at Nathaniel Green Middle School. He was arrested Friday during the school day. He's been in the Providence Public Schools for 25 years. Providence police said told NBC News a former student reported allegedly sexually assaulted him multiple times last several years. Victim is now an adult, went to the special units. Parents disturbed. Now, here's what I've learned. Number one, so he's paid leave with the union. Now, I've heard from various parents that there were complaints about this individual, not just because of his purple hair, not just because of that. but for other reasons. And all they would be told is because of the teachers union, they couldn't get rid of him. That the principal there's nothing we can do. Really? That guy now being held without bail. Nothing we can do. Nope. Nope. Paid leave. He's not even like suspended. And the union will fight for him to keep his job. Folks, the children of Providence are being served up for, granted, right now, nothing has been proven. These are just allegations. Let's see how it plays out. We don't know. He is, do I have to actually say this? He is presumed innocent under the law. He has not been convicted of anything right now. These are just allegations, but it's first degree, and he is being held without bail. Now, another part of this, and this is so important for some people to understand. There's a difference between someone levels a charge, and this happens, by the way. Someone levels a charge, the police investigate, and they say, we can't find any proof that this happened. That's not what this is. That's also not what the Patrick Pass thing was. Those of you that watch Road Patrol every single night, we follow police. What happened? They go onto a scene, they're investigating something, and either someone leaves, free ride to the safety complex in handcuffs, or maybe the police find, we just don't see it. There's no reason to detain this person, arrest it. The police investigate. So, but that's not what this is. That's not what this is. But there is a problem that parents have been complaining, students have been complaining, and they circle the wagons and protect it. And what is so disturbing about this guy, folks, at 1:26 on this Monday, not one elected official has spoken out. Not one elected official has said that guy should be fired. And you know what? They won't, because they fear the teachers union. Again, listen, I'm not saying, let me be very clear. There are many instances someone could level a charge, allegation. That's all it is. They investigate and they find there's nothing to it. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. That's not what this is. They obviously found enough, and the judge feels enough, that he's being held without bail. Even under these circumstances, no one says, why are they still paying the guy? He's sitting at the ACI and they're still paying his salary. It's so broken. But what gets me are parents going forward and the administrators saying there's nothing we can do. He's a member of the union. Folks, and no one talks about it. You can't fire someone like that. That's how ridiculous it is. What other occupation is there like that? Do you understand? Because of the contract, they can't even fire the guy. It's absurd. Even if he's convicted, they can't fire the guy. No one will speak out against him. What if this was, pick another occupation. Can you imagine if they learned that he was a Trump voter or supporter? Oh my God. Right now as we speak, there'd be a press conference. Blah, blah, blah. He is fired. It's broken that no one is saying anything on that. Now, there is a tie-in with this that I want to touch on. Folks, this portion of our program, though, and I want to mention, Rachel reached out to me. Rachel apparently has a problem with her feet, and she was a runner. And something's happening now, and she's not only not running, she sent me an email that said she can't even go for walks, so uncomfortable. Said, who is it that you mentioned that I should go to? Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist, Rachel. And that's for anybody else. 3 board-certified podiatrists right there. Dr. Colanino, Dr. Rhoda, Dr. Batty. I call them the 3 wise men. You'll call them board-certified podiatrists. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist. Right in the Smithfield Medical Center, Route 5. They take all health insurance. Digital x-ray on site. Save time, avoid the ER. Foot pain is not normal. It destroys your quality of life. Let them treat you. Many times, same day appointments are available. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists. Many patients walk out of the office feeling better that day. Set up an appointment. Foot pain is not normal, should not be ignored. 401 949 3220. Look for them on Facebook and online at greenvillefootlandankle.com. And if you're a patient, you're so fortunate. If you're a patient of Dr. Colanino or Dr. Rhoda or Dr. Batty, my longtime friend, you'll know what I'm talking about. And tell them you're glad to hear that other people are discovering what many of their longtime patients have known. I would venture enough to say you're not going to receive better care for your feet than Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists, right in that Smithfield Medical Center. Now, the other tie-in, folks, and again, good afternoon. This is the real news at 1 or 1 that I did want to mention. And I want to give credit to Channel 12. New lawsuit filed over the North Kingstown naked fat test scandal. Now, right now, it's 1:30. It's 1:30 on this Monday. And new lawsuit filed North Kingstown naked fat test scandal. This is Channel 12. A new lawsuit has been filed. The naked fat, actually, I think they have a package. Tim White, they've done extraordinary work on this story. Let me see if they have it as a breaking news. They do. All right, I'll play Tim White, who I happen to like and respect.
12 News Now with breaking news on WPRI.com. I'm Tim White.
There he is.
Another lawsuit has been filed in the so-called naked fat test scandal that has rocked North Kingstown. A former student has sued the school district and other officials, accusing them of allowing former basketball coach Aaron Thomas to have inappropriate contact with children. The allegations in this lawsuit are slightly different than previous ones. The former student, identified as John Doe 46, claims Thomas conducted what he called growth plate exams that involved the coach putting his hands down the student's shorts. The lawsuit states the student suffered mental trauma from the incident and had a panic attack during a practice. Thomas has not been named as a defendant. He has been criminally charged, however. He pleaded not guilty. That trial is scheduled for April. His attorney and a representative for North Kingstown did not immediately return a call for comment. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, 12 News.
Now, the reason I mention that is take a wild guess where you will not hear about that story. Spoiler alert, I'll tell you, that's right. This afternoon, Pork Boy, the McKee surrogate, the McKee campaign worker, and former employer, he used to pay that guy, and friend of Coach Thomas, won't mention it because when it broke, he ridiculed it. And if it was him and his friends, they would have been giggling about it. And the whole thing, and nothing more fun than a bunch of naked guys in the locker room. Folks, do you understand? It's an element of normalizing it. It's an element. Look at, children are under attack in the state, not just by the adults that are doing it. If you're an adult, if you're in a position of authority, and a child, a student, a parent comes to you, approaches you, as uncomfortable as it is, and says, Coach so-and-so put his hands down my shorts, or this teacher said some things, touched me a certain where, if you don't act on it, you're an enabler. You're an enabler. If you laugh it off, oh, he's just being whatever. That's the part. I refuse to be silent about it. You're an enabler of the behavior if you look the other way. I don't know anything. I don't want to know anything. It is your responsibility to know about that. And ideally put a halt to it. But there's something wrong right now because it's permeated into the media. It's an element of trying to normalize it. If you're a young guy and you used to have to go into a dark room with that guy, the coach, and you're in ninth grade, and he's going to be touching you, the station of record has the coach's friend on the air 5 days a week trying to rationalize it, mock anyone that complains, and normalize the behavior and go after anyone that felt uncomfortable. Of course, there's nothing normal about it. It's ludicrous. They can't find one person in the country that will back up that the only way to do this test is if the young child is naked, as if a 14-year-old boy has a body weight problem. I mean, when I was 14, myself, my brother Tommy, I could eat anything and not gain a pound. It was even a thing. I was trying to gain weight when I was 14, 15, 16. I mean, just a rail. It's your metabolism. A lot of people have that. And then they tried to stop the guy, and it was puberty tests. It's so, and that Jen Lima in North Kingstown, I mean, it's, folks, I am telling you, the problem is people move with their feet. People vote with their feet, is what I meant to say. People vote with their feet. There's nothing normal about it. There are people around us that are trying to seemingly rationalize that type of behavior or normalize that behavior or try to, as Pork Boy, my friends and I, we would have been giggling about it. There's nothing funny about that. There's nothing remotely funny. There's something, it's, I don't know what to make of the whole thing. And I know he is being criminally charged. And I know they're trying to say, well, it's not technically a crime. There's so many things that are wrong with that. But mocking and laughing about young men that are scarred by that, to me, it's unrelatable. And I'm mortified when I hear that parents in the Providence school felt uncomfortable with this teacher, complained about the teacher, and no one does anything. I mean, we're back to, if you watch, and I remember being on the air when it happened, and that was the Boston Globe Spotlight series that they did, is disturbing, and it's still disturbing. They made a film out of it. Spotlight. It's just so egregious. The people that then, but just look the other way. And I can't emphasize that enough. At no point does the union say, hey, these kids are in danger. Hey, these children shouldn't be around someone like that. The first thing they do is, well, you're not going to fire him because he's still going to pay his dues, and you're not going to suspend him. He may be at the ACI, but he's there with full pay. And the reason I go after the Rhode Island State House and the Den of Thieves, and there are no profiles encouraged, not one elected official, not one in Providence or statewide, not one will put out a statement saying, if these allegations are proven to be true, they are disgraceful, they are disturbing, and there should be full investigation how this was allowed to go on. Period. Nothing. Why? Because they're afraid of the teacher. Oh, you can't do that. Can't do that with the teachers union, as McGreed gave them each $3,000 bonuses. They're such spineless jellyfish, folks. But it's very telling. If you, I mean, where are you? Where are we? If you have adults that won't stop children from being assaulted in this manner, then like, to me, it's, stop saying, yeah, but he was a good basketball coach. Like, that is irrelevant to me. I don't care if he I don't care if he was Dean Smith. I don't, that is irrelevant. well, this guy was a good chemistry teacher or whatever, good science teacher. He that's the rationale. That's the rationale. Well, it was only a couple of kids. It's so broken. It's so broken. And again, I don't have children in the Providence school system. I feel the parents reach out to me, right? They see me out in their neighborhoods. No one says anything. And I repeat, if you're an adult and you look the other way or mock it, and this whole business, boy, Coach Thomas is living oh man, he's living the dream in the locker room with all those naked guys around, kids around him. What is this, Neverland? Like it's so distorted. That's he's living the life. No, he's living a perverted life. In the fact that you think that, and they keep him on. They keep him on. It's just it's beyond twisted. It's one thing you catch someone in that behavior. Children, little children. Listen, it shouldn't be normalized. It will never be normalized. It shouldn't be laughed about. There's no other way to say it than, the John Hopkins report about Providence schools. There was a line they had in that. Not only did they say the Providence schools are one of the worst school systems in the country, they did say that. Not only do the union members and union head have media allies, here's Bob Walsh, his annual appearance. Oh, let's laugh it up with Bob. But the line they used was that the schools are too adult-centric. It's all built on the adults. The children are just, I swear it's like a daycare. Or they treat it like, maybe some of the kids are being touched, but listen, the pay is not that great, and he's been in the system for a while. So, cut the guy a break. Like, what planet are these people living on? But they'll never go after them. Never. It is absolutely cowardly. Coach Thomas, I don't know what was going on with the kids in the closet in the dark, but you got to admit, he is a good basketball. It is irrelevant. It is the ultimate. Other than that, how is the theater, Mrs. Lincoln? No one is interested in that. All right, but President Trump, you got to admit, the Butler countryside's pretty nice that time of year. What are you talking about? He's a good basketball coach. The allegations are that he's a predator. Folks, this portion of our program, now, I was asked, who can trim branches during this hurricane season? I have an answer for you. JD Lawn Care Tree Service. Call them today. They can trim your branches. 401-441-0154. JD Lawn Care and Tree Service. They can do a great job for you. Trim back those branches. Make sure maybe they're overgrown. Maybe you have dangerous branches. Have them trim it before it comes crashing down to the ground or on your car or your garage or your home. JD, think of me, JD Lawn Care Tree Service, 401-441-0154. Well, folks, good afternoon. It is the John DePietro Show. This is the real news at 1. Right now, our local time is 1:43. I find it very distressing. I do. And the system, I'll tell you what the system is not geared for learning. And whether people like it or not, we have people that have infiltrated our area, and they have some very out of the norm ideas of what's acceptable behavior. And I'm well aware it's 2024, but what I have a hard time with some of these allegations and activity. With what's so troubling are the adults that look the other way. The adults that leave it up to the children. The children, what do they say? Some of the teachers or the other administrators, not my problem. That's not my kid. I don't know what goes on in that classroom. I don't know why that child was after school with him. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to know. Everybody's Sergeant Schultz. Absolutely disgraceful, despicable. See, it's easy P. Diddy, it's easy because there's so many allegations and the rap mogul and blah, blah, blah. But what you don't P. Diddy is a high profile example. But there are people around you and around us that are involved in occupations for the wrong reasons and motivations. There are. And many times, it's interesting. There are people sometimes around us that, and I shake my head and I think, how did this person afford that house? This is like not related, but how did this person afford that car? This is someone that's not that smart. I know they don't really work that hard. How did they have that car, a Ferrari, and how do they have that expensive house? Then you find out it's because they're stealing from people. And then it all makes sense. But the fact is, it never really made sense. Various individuals. And then there's just, people need to go with their gut more. In North Kingstown, of course, it never really sounded like it made sense because it didn't make sense. Of course, these kids shouldn't be in a closet alone with this guy because there was no reason for them to be naked in a closet alone with a guy. No, he's not a doctor. No normal guy. I mean, I've had all kind, coaches forever. I was never like naked and alone with one. It's just absolute insanity. But the hesitation from adults, the hesitation to do anything, or the way the union is protecting that teacher, just and again, it's you just don't have profiles and courage. Many times there are high profile examples of something that happens and hits the news, and then people step back and say, God, how did they do that? And for those that haven't followed, the Sandra Birchmore case in Massachusetts is a pretty good example. How was that? I mean, how was that declared self-harm suicide when now the person accused of it is the former Stoughton detective who's sitting in prison because the feds investigated it, and they're like, well, this looks more like a homicide to us. But that's one example. How many other examples are going on where, we had back in the wintertime, that teacher at Davies that was hitting on a young female student and making inappropriate remarks and messaging her, and she wanted to take her to New York, and a lot of people looked the other way on that type of thing. And Providence College, this person, was like, had some connection with the college, and it's all grooming. I also want to give credit to my friend Nicole Salas. Nicole points out different examples of grooming that are out there. And that's one thing that our local media, they won't cover it. And our local politicians, they don't. I just think it would be very powerful. Let's start with Providence. If there was some Providence elected rep or council person that just released a statement saying, I'm seeing this in the news. And as an elected official, I am disgusted by it. And I think there should be more investigation. And we're going to conduct kind of like a town hall or a parents' meeting with any parents or students that may have concerns or other similar stories to tell. Not one of them steps forward. Folks, this portion of the program, if you're thinking of you'd like to get a newer vehicle, and I don't mean a brand new vehicle, but it would be a new vehicle for you, I want you to contact Valari Motors. They sell pre-owned used vehicles. Largest selection of Volvos in Rhode Island, 1003 Park Avenue in Cranston. Valari Motors. Great prices, great service, great vehicles. Valari Motors in Cranston, New England's #1 dealer in pre-owned Volvo sales and service. Stop in and see Paul Staskavich or his great mechanic, Steven. Now remember, they also want your vehicle. Get the best value for your trade-in at Valari Motors, New England's #1 dealer in pre-owned Volvo sales and service. Valari Motors in Cranston. Well, folks, good afternoon. Now I'll say this. I think it's important to point out for you and those that are listening, and right now, again, we're on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. You can also listen online at the website, dpetro.com. We also have, right now, we are just the Real News at 1 is also simulcast on Facebook and X and YouTube. So I think here's a problem that I see, that I will speak out. There are many times that I don't understand why, and the group, admittedly, that I would expect to speak out would be the Rhode Island Republican Party. To me, there's times it should be a no-brainer on what they speak out on, and then they don't. But I'm going to speak out. I'm going to speak out because right now, as you heard last hour, Politics This Week with Justin Katz, and I really enjoy speaking with Justin. It's one of my favorite segments of the week. But what I find troubling is a UNH poll came out. Now, people say, I don't like polls, or people, they never poll me, these ridiculous statements. But right now, it does show Harris has a large lead over President Trump in Rhode Island. Now, I don't think it's as big as they say. But for those people that say, I don't believe that, or blah, 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 I challenge you to ride to the East Bay where they vote blue. East Providence, there's a couple of Trump signs, but primarily Borrington, Warren, Bristol, Portsmouth, Middletown, they vote blue. But here's my point. In this poll that came out, and I played some of the sound of the poll, the #1 issue in the state is immigration. It's the #1 issue in Rhode Island. And the Rhode Island GOP has done nothing with it. What does that tell you? If the #1 issue, let me reverse it, strike that. Whatever the #1 issue is, it's clearly bipartisan, meaning you have both Democrats concerned about it and Republicans. Because that's why it's so high, is because there are so many people, all kinds of voters concerned about it. But the #1 issue is immigration in Rhode Island. As much as Matos, everybody should move in here. Do you realize Governor McKee we have a lieutenant governor who believes in open borders. We have a lieutenant governor that believes you should pay for them to come in. We have a governor, lieutenant governor that gave out, quote, driving privileges that look exactly like a regular license. But here's my point. The Rhode Island Republican Party, don't you understand that you could turn that into a voting issue? It's clear that it's not just Republicans that are concerned about illegal, and it's illegal immigration. They can say it's immigration, but let's be real. There's no one saying, I'm concerned with some of these people passing the citizenship test. It's illegal immigration. It's not one of the issues. It's the #1 issue. And the Rhode Island Republican Party is totally silent on it. I don't get it, because that's how you pick off moderates. That's how you pick off independents. If they start to say, this group, they want to cut down on that. And folks, the part that I fully don't understand, that no one highlights, is the sheer cost of being a sanctuary state. Now, listen, I recognize Governor McKee, at this point, it's almost like he's on a mission to run the state into the ground. He never should have been governor. He manipulated the mail ballots. The guy's so far in over his head, and we're stuck with him. Oh my God, for more than 2 more years. Do you realize McKee doesn't leave office until January of 27? The amount of damage he's doing. Hasbro wants to bail. All the companies want to bail. The bridges, the roads are a mess. Illegals are flocking in. There's gang violence. Predators are preying on the kids in the schools. He is so much worse than Chafee ever was. That's just a fact. Governor McGreed is doing irreversible damage. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I do know this. The Rhode Island Republican Party, as I've said, how they ignore that issue, I don't relate and I don't understand it. It should be far more of an issue at the State House. That's an issue. Forget about this thing, the Inspector General. Then you don't have the votes for it. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. But people say, who are all these people coming in here? What's all this violence? They're spreading out to the suburbs. And the top thing is the sheer cost to the taxpayers. $20,000 per student. $20,000 per student is the cost. When you have 25,000 illegals in the Rhode Island school system, you're talking real money that you're paying. Either your taxes should be lower or the schools and everything should be better. And that no one says a word. That's something that people could fundamentally understand. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by Dreammaker, Bath and Kitchen. If you're listening or watching on this Monday and you're thinking of redoing your kitchen or bath, I want you to contact Dreammaker, 401-433-7272. They have a beautiful design center right there, Greenwich Avenue in Warwick, right next to Kochai and right down from Crown Plaza. Dennis and Christina, I want to repeat, this is who you want to do business with. If you're listening or watching right now on this Monday and you're thinking of redoing your kitchen or bath, Dreammaker, they take you from concept to completion. Their code of values: respect, integrity, customer focus. This is who you want to deal with. And I am confident if you just call them and make an appointment and go by their state-of-the-art showroom, that's who you're going to choose for your kitchen or bath. I share their Facebook page, Dreammaker, Bath and Kitchen. Call them today, 401-433-7272 for Dreammaker. Well, folks, good afternoon at 1:56 on this Monday, September 23rd. This is the real news at 1. Now, again, folks, I'm not trying to bum everybody out, but somebody has to say something. By the way, yesterday, so I did drive to Emerald Square Mall, and the Bulls were not there. They had made their way loose. But one thing I did find was the people that were part of this rodeo, that none of them could speak English as I was trying to get more information. And that's one of those situations. Something could have happened. That was very dangerous. I'm not sure. I think there's still one bull on the loose. I'm a little more concerned on some of the things that are going on in the state. For those of you that follow on TikTok and Instagram, and even Facebook, I shared the video of the young couple. And I without getting into the whole story that people seem obsessed about telling, it turns out they're having a child and they didn't know that they were a brother and sister. But what stands out in the video is as they're talking to the person interviewing them on White Underbelly, is they moved to Rhode Island, where the interviewer is saying, so you moved there because they allow family members to breed, for lack of a better term. And she's nodding yes. That's the part that stood out. I know all these people. Well, what happened is, see, they didn't know, and you're missing the point. I don't care about how they met. I don't know who they are. All I know is when they Googled, went on Google, went online and said, where can we go and have this child? even though, we're brother and sister, the state that popped up was Rhode Island. And that's why they moved to the state. How many other people that are not doing documentaries are moving for that reason? My point, I don't, and this video is out there, and it's pretty much going viral. Not one elected, not one person in elected office that said, hey, wait a minute, we need to change that law. This is crazy. Those types of people are moving here, and for that reason. Folks, that is McKees, Rhode Island. And the scary thing is, it's going to get worse before it gets better. All right, coming up, you're going to hear the 2 o'clock news, and then we will be doing Road Patrol Live later. In the meantime, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Enjoy this Monday. And again, we will be back later on for our Facebook Live.